Welcome to the deep dive. Whether you're, prepping for a big presentation or just catching up on a field, I think you'll find today's topic super relevant. We're going to be exploring the long-term health impacts of what are called adverse childhood experiences.
ACEs.
ACEs.
Yeah, we're not just talking about, the obvious things like abuse.
Right.
We'll be looking at a really wide range of experiences,
Okay.
drawing on medical research,
Okay.
a trauma recovery coach guide, and even some insights into therapies like forgiveness therapy
Wow.
and internal family systems.
One of the most shocking things I came across in the CDC research was this finding that any negative life event, if it's experienced in a state of helplessness, can have similar effects on the brain
Oh, wow.
as physical or sexual abuse.
That's huge. Yeah, this really highlights the importance of understanding the neurobiology of trauma,
Okay.
especially when it comes to childhood development. The Trauma Recovery Coach Guide we have explains how these experiences actually impact the physical structure of the developing brain.
So walk me through this. How does that work?
Well, think about the prefrontal cortex.
Yeah.
That part of the brain that's responsible for planning and decision-making.
Uh-huh.
Trauma can hinder its development, making it harder to regulate emotions and make, sound judgments later in life.
Right.
It's like trying to drive a car without a steering wheel.
Oh.
You can still move, but you don't have the same control.
Okay, so that's the prefrontal cortex. What about other areas of the brain?
Another key area is the hippocampus, which is crucial for memory and learning.
Okay.
Trauma can actually cause the hippocampus to shrink,
Wow.
leading to difficulties with memory and processing information. Imagine trying to learn a new language when you can't quite remember the vocabulary.
Oh, yeah.
It makes the task so much more challenging.
Yeah, that's a really vivid way to put it.
Yeah.
And to make things even more complex, there's the amygdala.
Oh, the amygdala, yes.
Right, the part of the brain that deals with our fear response.
Exactly. And with trauma, the amygdala often becomes enlarged.
Okay.
This means someone with a history of ACEs might have a hair trigger response to stress, perceiving threats even in everyday situations.
Wow.
They're essentially living in a state of heightened alert,
Right.
which takes a huge toll on their well-being.
The guide actually uses the example of a car breaking down on the freeway to illustrate this.
That's right. For most people, a breakdown is stressful, but manageable, right?
All right.
You call for help and you wait.
You figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for someone with a history of trauma, that same event could trigger a full-blown panic attack.
Oh, wow.
Their body is flooded with stress hormones,
Oh, gosh.
making it so difficult to think clearly
Right.
or to access coping mechanisms.
This makes the common question,
Ugh.
why can't you just get over it?
Yeah.
Even more insensitive.
It's so minimizing.
Yeah, it's not a matter of willpower. It's about how the brain has physically adapted to survive.
Exactly. And that's why it's so crucial to understand that these early experiences can have a ripple effect throughout a person's life, right?
Right.
We might be looking for external causes for health problems when the root could actually lie in unaddressed trauma.
Which leads us to the groundbreaking ACE study
Yeah.
conducted by Kaiser Permanente and the CDC.
Mm-hmm.
This study really opened our eyes to the connection between childhood experiences and long-term health.
What's striking about the ACE study is the sheer range of experiences that they investigated.
Okay.
They went beyond abuse
Okay.
to include things like witnessing domestic violence,
Right.
growing up with substance abuse in the home, or having a parent with mental illness.
And they found that these experiences are surprisingly common,
Very common, yeah.
with over 50% of participants reporting at least one category of ACE.
Yeah, and they also discovered a strong dose-response relationship.
Which would be...
That means the more ACEs someone experiences,
Okay.
the greater their risk for developing certain health issues later in life.
Right. So it wasn't just about one isolated event.
Exactly.
It was about the cumulative
The
impact
cumulative impact.
of multiple adversities.
Right.
And we're not just talking about mental health issues, right?
No, not at all.
The study found a link between ACEs and a whole host of physical health problems, too.
Absolutely. Things like heart disease, stroke, diabetes,
Wow.
even cancer and lung disease.
It's wild to think about.
It is, yeah.
These are conditions we often think of as purely physical,
right.
but the ACE study suggests there might be a connection
A strong connection.
to early life experiences.
Yeah,
The specific examples are pretty eye-opening.
they are.
For instance, someone with 4 or more ACE categories was twice as likely to develop heart disease
Wow.
and nearly twice as likely to have a stroke
Mhm.
compared to someone with no ACEs.
And it's important to remember that, these are not just statistics. These are real people whose lives are being impacted by experiences that often happened decades earlier.
But the problem is, many doctors still hesitate to bring up these sensitive topics,
I know, it's understandable.
even though research suggests patients actually welcome such inquiries.
They do, yeah. It's understandable that healthcare providers might feel uncomfortable asking about things like abuse or family dysfunction.
Sure.
However, these are crucial pieces of the puzzle when it comes to understanding a person's overall health, right?
Right. It's about creating a safe space for patients to share their whole story,
Mm-hmm.
so doctors can provide the best possible care.
Exactly. And that raises an important question for all of us listening, right?
Right.
Are we comfortable bringing up these potentially traumatic experiences with our own doctors?
Mhm.
Are we advocating for ourselves and seeking out healthcare providers who understand this crucial connection between our past and present?
Now, one of the most interesting things I found in the research was a study on forgiveness therapy with abused girls in Pakistan.
Oh, interesting.
What stood out to you about this study?
What I found fascinating was the focus on reducing anger
Okay.
and increasing hope and forgiveness
Mm,
in young girls who had endured extreme trauma,
right.
and the results were truly remarkable,
Yeah.
even a year later.
Wow.
The girls who participated in forgiveness therapy showed significantly higher levels of forgiveness and hope,
Hmm.
along with much lower levels of anger
Wow.
compared to the control group.
The story of Reno,
Yeah.
one of the girls who participated in the study,
Right.
really highlights the transformative power of this approach.
She was able to start processing her trauma and letting go of the anger and resentment that she had been carrying for years.
Wow.
It's a powerful example of how forgiveness can liberate us not from the actions of the abuser, but from the emotional burden of the past.
And this isn't just about extreme cases of abuse.
Right.
The study emphasizes that these principles apply to everyday hurts and resentments
All of those everyday hurts.
that we all experience.
Think about a time when you held on to anger towards someone who wronged you.
Mm-hmm.
Holding on to that negativity can impact our well-being, even if we aren't consciously aware of it.
So forgiveness, in a way, is a gift you give yourself.
Absolutely.
It allows you to release that negativity and open yourself up to healing and growth.
It's about shifting from a victim mindset to one of empowerment and agency.
Hmm.
And that's a powerful transition to make, regardless of what you've been through.
Now, while trauma can have lasting impacts,
Right.
it's also important to remember that people are incredibly resilient.
They are, that's right. The research paper on resilience and post-traumatic growth that we have
Right.
really emphasizes this point.
Okay.
Most individuals who experience trauma don't develop PTSD
Hmm.
or other long-term mental health issues.
And the research points to some key factors that contribute to this resilience,
Yeah.
right? Things like strong social support, a sense of purpose, and the ability to regulate emotions.
Exactly. Other factors include cognitive flexibility,
Okay.
which is the ability to adapt our thinking patterns, and spiritual or religious faith,
Okay.
which can provide a sense of meaning and hope in the face of adversity.
And this brings to mind the work of Peter Levine,
Oh, yeah?
a trauma expert who developed a therapeutic approach called somatic experiencing.
Levine's work is fascinating because it focuses on the body's role in trauma recovery.
Okay.
He talks about how trauma can get us stuck in states of either high arousal,
Like fight or flight.
like fight or flight, exactly,
Oh,
or
yeah.
shut down,
Freeze.
like the freeze response. Yeah.
And his approach emphasizes befriending our bodily sensations
Mm-hmm.
to help regulate the nervous system and release trapped trauma.
Instead of ignoring or suppressing our physical responses to trauma,
Uh-huh.
he encourages us to gently acknowledge and process those sensations.
It's about recognizing that our bodies hold wisdom
Yes.
and that by listening to them,
Mm-hmm.
we can unlock our innate capacity for healing.
I love that.
This idea of listening to the body's wisdom also connects beautifully with another therapeutic approach we'll be discussing,
Okay.
internal family systems, or IFS.
IFS.
IFS is based on the idea that we all have these inner parts that carry different emotions, beliefs, and roles.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like having an internal family living within us.
Exactly.
And just like in any family, there can be harmony, conflict, or even rebellion among those parts.
So how do we even begin to identify these different parts within ourselves?
That's a great question.
What are some clues we can look for?
One way is to pay attention to our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
especially in moments of stress or conflict.
Okay.
For example, if you find yourself constantly criticizing yourself, you might be dealing with a critic part.
Or,
Or if you tend to people pleasers and avoid conflict at all costs,
yeah.
you might have a pleaser part that's trying to keep the peace.
It's about noticing those recurring patterns and asking ourselves,
Yes.
who's running the show right now?
Precisely. And once we start to identify those parts,
Okay.
IFS encourages us to approach them with curiosity and compassion
Okay.
rather than judgment.
Hmm.
Instead of trying to silence or suppress those parts,
Uh-huh.
we learn to listen to them and
Okay.
understand their underlying needs.
So it's like having a conversation with those parts,
Yes,
almost like you would with a member of your family.
exactly. And just like in any healthy relationship,
Right.
communication is key.
Communication is always key.
IFS provides a framework for having those internal dialogues
Yeah, okay.
and creating a more harmonious and integrated sense of self.
This makes me think about the concept of exiles.
Yes.
Those parts of ourselves that have been hurt or traumatized
Mhm.
and are often hidden away.
Often hidden.
How
Yeah.
do they fit into the IFS model?
Exiles are often at the root of our emotional struggles.
Okay.
They carry the pain and trauma from our past,
Mm.
and they can exert a powerful influence on our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors,
Wow.
even if we're not aware of them.
So it's not just about those more obvious parts like the critic or the pleaser.
Right.
It's also about understanding the wounded parts
Yes,
that those protectors are trying to shield.
exactly. And IFS helps us access those exiled parts with compassion and understanding,
Okay.
and to offer them the healing and support they need.
It's about recognizing that even the most wounded parts of ourselves are worthy of love and acceptance.
Absolutely. And as those exiled parts begin to heal, we can start to release the protective parts from their often extreme roles.
It's like creating a more balanced and functional internal family system
I love that.
where all the members feel heard,
Yes.
respected, and valued.
And when that happens, our capacity for resilience, emotional regulation, and healthy relationships expands dramatically.
It's about realizing that we have the power within ourselves to create lasting change, not by fighting against our inner demons,
Right.
but by understanding and integrating them.
It's a truly empowering approach to healing and growth,
Mhm.
and one that aligns beautifully with the other concepts we've explored today,
Right.
like forgiveness therapy and somatic experiencing.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
from the neurobiology of trauma
Mm-hmm.
to the profound impacts of ACEs,
Yeah.
and even touched upon some potential avenues for healing and growth.
Lots of avenues.
But we're just getting started.
I know, this is exciting.
When we come back,
Yes.
we'll delve even deeper into the fascinating world of internal family systems,
I can't wait.
exploring practical techniques for identifying and communicating with our inner parts,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately cultivating a more compassionate and integrated sense of self.
Stay tuned because I think you'll find these insights incredibly valuable,
Yeah.
regardless of your background or personal experiences. Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about IFS
Right.
and this idea that we have these different parts inside us, almost like an internal family.
Yeah, and we talked about how to start recognizing them, right?
Yeah.
Paying attention to our thoughts and feelings and behaviors,
Yeah.
especially in those moments when we're feeling stressed or in conflict.
Right. It's like those times when you suddenly snap at someone or you find yourself procrastinating on something important.
Right.
Those can be clues that a particular part is taking over.
And we touched on the concept of exiles, those parts of ourselves that carry the pain of past trauma and often get hidden away.
Yeah, those exile parts can be particularly tricky because they're often operating below our conscious awareness.
Hmm.
They might show up as unexplained fears, anxieties, or even physical symptoms.
So how do we actually start working with these parts, especially the exiles? It sounds pretty daunting.
Well, the good news is that IFS provides a really gentle and compassionate approach.
Okay.
It's not about forcing those exiled parts to come out or trying to get rid of them.
Right.
It's more about creating a safe and welcoming space for them to emerge on their own terms.
And that's where the idea of self-leadership comes in, right?
Yes,
This idea that there's a core part of us that can provide that sense of safety and compassion.
exactly. In IFS, the self is seen as this inherent wisdom and compassion that's always available to us.
Okay.
It's not another part, it's more like the core of our being. And when we're able to access that self-energy, we can start to build a more trusting relationship with our parts,
Okay.
including the exiles.
So it's like we become the compassionate leader of our own internal family system.
That's a great way to put it, and the beauty of it is that we don't have to be perfect. to be an effective leader.
Right.
It's more about bringing curiosity, empathy, and a willingness to listen to the different parts of ourselves.
But what does that actually look like in practice? How do we actually have those conversations with our parts, especially the ones that are hidden away?
One of the core practices in IFS is called unblending.
Okay.
It's essentially a way of creating space between ourselves and our parts so we can observe them with more clarity and compassion. It's like taking a step back from the emotional storm to gain a wider perspective.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we unblend from those intense emotions or thought patterns?
There are various techniques, but one simple and effective approach is to focus on our physical sensations.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about Peter Levine and somatic experiencing?
Uh-huh.
It's similar in that it involves bringing awareness to our bodies.
So for example, if I notice that I'm feeling really anxious and I'm starting to spiral into negative thoughts,
Yeah.
I could pause and simply notice the sensations in my body.
Exactly. Where do you feel the anxiety in your body? Is it in your chest, your stomach, your throat? What are the specific sensations? Are there any images or memories that come up?
And just by doing that, just by paying attention to those sensations, we can start to create some distance from those overwhelming emotions or thoughts.
That's right. It's like we're shifting our attention from the content of our thoughts and feelings
Right.
to the container, which is our body. And in doing so, we're accessing that self-energy, that inherent wisdom and compassion that allows us to observe our parts without getting swept away by them.
So once we've unblended, how do we actually start engaging with those parts, especially the exiles?
The key is to approach them with curiosity and empathy.
Okay.
Instead of trying to fix them or change them,
Right.
we simply listen to their stories. We ask them questions like, what are you feeling? What do you need? What are
Yeah.
you afraid of?
And this is where that inner compassion really comes into play, right? It's about offering those exiled parts the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a loved one who's hurting.
Exactly. And as we listen to those parts with compassion, something amazing starts to happen.
What's that?
They begin to feel seen and heard. They feel less alone and less
Understand.
afraid.
And as they start to trust us, they may be more willing to share their burdens with us.
Yeah.
Those painful memories or beliefs that they've been carrying for so long.
It's important to remember that these parts, even the ones that seem scary or destructive,
No.
are ultimately trying to protect us in their own way. They developed those protective roles in response to past trauma or difficult experiences.
So it's like they're trying to keep us safe, even if their methods are sometimes misguided or harmful.
Exactly. And once we understand that, we can start to appreciate their intentions.
Right.
Even if we don't agree with their actions.
Right.
It's about recognizing that they're doing the best they can with the resources they have.
And as we build trust with those protective parts, they may be more willing to step aside and allow us to connect with the exiled parts that they've been guarding.
And that's where the real healing begins.
Good.
When those exiled parts feel safe enough to come out of hiding, they can finally start to process the pain and trauma that they've been holding on to for so long.
It's like those parts are finally able to let go of the burdens they've been carrying and experience a sense of freedom and wholeness that they may never have known before.
And as those exiled parts heal, the protective parts can also relax and soften. They no longer need to be so vigilant or extreme in their efforts to protect us.
So it's like a ripple effect,
Yeah.
right? Healing one part of our internal system creates more harmony and balance throughout the entire system.
And as that inner harmony grows, we naturally become more resilient, more compassionate, and more capable of navigating life's challenges with greater ease and grace.
This is all so fascinating, but I have to admit,
Yeah,
I'm still a little unsure about how to actually put this into practice.
sure.
Do you have any specific exercises or techniques that we can use to start connecting with our parts and cultivating that self-leadership?
Absolutely. There are a number of different IFS techniques that can be really helpful.
Okay.
One that I often recommend is called writing from the part.
Okay.
It's a simple yet powerful way to access and communicate with your parts through writing.
Okay, so how does that work? Walk me through it.
Choose a part that you'd like to connect with.
Okay.
It could be a part that's been particularly active lately,
Okay.
or one that you're curious about getting to know better.
So for example, if I've been noticing a lot of self-criticism lately, I could choose to connect with my inner critic.
Exactly. Now, find a quiet space where you won't be interrupted and simply start writing from the perspective of that part.
Okay.
Imagine that part has a voice and let it speak through you.
So I might write something like, I'm so tired of you messing things up. You're never going to be good enough. Is that what you mean?
That's a great example. Don't censor yourself or try to make it sound pretty.
Right.
Just let the words flow freely onto the page.
And as I'm writing, what should I be paying attention to?
Notice the tone of voice.
Okay.
Is it harsh, critical, judgmental? Or is it more gentle, compassionate, or understanding?
Okay. And what else? What else should I be noticing?
Pay attention to the emotions that come up as you're writing.
Okay.
Are you feeling angry, sad, scared, ashamed? Just allow those emotions to be present without judgment.
And then what? What do I do once I've written from the part?
Once you feel like you've expressed what that part has to say, you can shift perspectives and write a response from your self-energy.
So I might write something like, I hear you, and I understand that you're trying to protect me from pain. I appreciate your efforts, but I know that I'm more than my mistakes.
That's a beautiful example, and that's the essence of self-leadership.
Okay.
It's about acknowledging the validity of our parts, while also offering them a different perspective, one that's rooted in compassion, understanding, and self-acceptance.
And as we engage in this dialogue with our parts, we can start to create a more harmonious and integrated sense of self.
And with that inner harmony comes a greater capacity for resilience, emotional regulation, and healthy relationships.
It's like we're finally coming home to ourselves, embracing all the different parts of who we are, both the light and the shadow.
And in doing so, we unlock a profound sense of freedom and wholeness that allows us to live more authentically and joyfully.
It's truly remarkable how these seemingly simple practices can have such a profound impact on our lives.
And the best part is that they're available to all of us.
Right.
We don't need any special training or qualifications to start cultivating self-leadership and connecting with our inner world.
So if our listeners are feeling inspired to dive deeper into IFS, what resources would you recommend?
There are several great books and websites that provide more in-depth information about IFS.
Okay.
One of my favorites is Internal Family Systems Therapy by Richard Schwartz, the founder of IFS.
Right.
He does a wonderful job of explaining the model in a clear and accessible way.
And if listeners are looking for more hands-on support, are there therapists who specialize in IFS?
Absolutely. There's a growing number of therapists who are trained in IFS. You can find a directory of IFS therapists on the IFS Institute website.
This has been an incredibly insightful conversation.
It has been, yeah.
Thank you for sharing your expertise with us today.
It's been my pleasure. I'm always excited to share the power and potential of IFS.
Now, before we wrap up,
Okay.
I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier. This idea that seemingly small or insignificant events from our childhood can actually have a lasting impact on our well-being.
It's a crucial point, and one that often gets overlooked. We tend to focus on the big traumatic events.
Right.
But it's those seemingly minor experiences that can sometimes leave the deepest scars.
And remember that CDC research we talked about at the beginning? About how any negative experience, if experienced in a state of helplessness, can have similar effects on the brain as physical or sexual abuse.
That's right. It's not just about the severity of the event. It's about how we perceive it. If a child feels powerless to change their circumstances, that experience can become embedded in their nervous system as trauma.
So as we continue this exploration of ACEs and their impacts, I want to invite our listeners to reflect on their own experiences. What seemingly small or insignificant events from your childhood might actually be contributing to challenges you face today.
It could be anything. A time you were bullied at school, a moment of rejection from a friend or family member, time you felt embarrassed or ashamed, or even just a feeling of not being good enough.
Those experiences, though they may seem minor in retrospect, could be shaping your beliefs about yourself, your relationships, or even your health. They might be influencing your behavior patterns, your emotional responses, or even your physical symptoms.
And the good news is that once we become aware of these connections, we can start to heal them.
And that's where IFS, somatic experiencing, and other therapeutic approaches can be incredibly powerful tools.
They provide us with a framework for understanding and transforming those old patterns and creating a more fulfilling and joyful life.
So as we wrap up this second part of our deep dive, I encourage you to take some time for self-reflection. Explore those hidden connections between your past and present and see what insights emerge.
Remember, you're not alone on this journey. There's support available. And there's always hope for healing and growth.
We've been unpacking some pretty intense stuff today, exploring the profound and often hidden impacts of adverse childhood experiences.
Right.
But knowing all of this, what can we actually do with this information?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It can feel overwhelming to realize just how much our past can shape our present, even in ways that we might not realize.
Right.
But the key takeaway here is that awareness is the first step towards healing and change.
So by understanding the concepts we've discussed,
Mm-hmm.
like the neurobiology of trauma,
Yeah.
the role of ACEs,
Right.
and the potential of therapeutic approaches like IFS,
Mm-hmm.
we're already on the path towards a more empowered and fulfilling life.
Exactly. Remember that quote from the trauma recovery coach guide?
Oh, yeah?
Why can't you just get over it?
So frustrating to hear that.
Now we know that trauma isn't a sign of weakness,
Well,
but rather a powerful adaptation to difficult circumstances. It's about the brain and body doing their best to survive.
And recognizing that, we can start to approach ourselves and others with more compassion and understanding.
It's about recognizing that healing isn't about erasing the past,
Right.
but rather about integrating it into who we are today.
Now, when we were discussing IFS, we talked about the concept of exiles.
Yes.
Those wounded parts of ourselves
Yeah.
that often carry the pain of past trauma.
Right.
I'm curious, what are some practical ways we can start to connect with and care for those exiles?
There are several approaches,
Okay.
and it can be helpful to experiment and find what resonates most with you.
Right.
One powerful technique we discussed is writing from the part. This involves giving voice to those exiled parts through journaling or free writing.
So, for example, if someone was often criticized as a child and still carries that inner critic with them,
Yeah.
they might write from the perspective of that critical voice.
Right. They could write about what that part is feeling, what it fears, what it needs. This allows those feelings to be expressed and acknowledged, which can be incredibly healing in itself.
And then from that place of greater awareness, we can start to offer those exiled parts the compassion and understanding they may have been longing for.
Exactly. Remember, healing is about building a relationship with these parts, not trying to banish or silence them.
Right.
It's about recognizing that all of our parts, even the ones that seem scary or negative, are ultimately trying to protect us in their own way.
This makes me think of another IFS technique we talked about, unblending,
Yes.
which is about creating space between ourselves and our parts so we can observe them with more clarity and compassion.
Unblending is such a valuable skill, especially when those exiled parts are feeling triggered. It allows us to step back from the emotional intensity and access that wise, compassionate self-energy that can hold space for all of our parts.
So for someone who might be feeling overwhelmed by a particular emotion, like anger or sadness, they could try focusing on their physical sensations.
Yes, they might notice the tightness in their chest, the heat in their face, the clenching of their fists. By simply bringing awareness to those bodily sensations, they can start to create some distance from the overwhelming emotions.
And from that place of grounded awareness, they can start to ask themselves, what is this part trying to tell me? What does it need?
And that's where the real magic happens.
Yeah.
By listening to our parts with curiosity and compassion, we can start to understand their needs and offer them the support they may have been longing for.
It's like we're finally learning to be the loving parent to ourselves that we may not have had growing up.
That's beautifully put, and as we develop that inner self-compassion, we naturally become more resilient and better equipped to handle life's challenges.
So for our listeners who are new to IFS,
Mm-hmm.
it might seem like a lot to take in,
Right.
but even just understanding the basic concepts can be incredibly empowering.
Absolutely. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. There are many wonderful resources available, including books, websites, and therapists who specialize in IFS.
And for those who may be hesitant to dive into therapy, even simple practices like journaling, mindfulness, and spending time in nature can be incredibly supportive.
Anything that helps you connect with your inner world and cultivate a sense of self-compassion can make a big difference.
It's really about remembering that healing is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs along the way, but the most important thing is to keep showing up for yourself with kindness and understanding.
And to celebrate the small victories along the way.
Yeah.
Each step towards greater self-awareness and self-compassion is a step towards a more fulfilling and joyful life.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought.
Okay.
If any negative experience in a state of helplessness can have lasting impacts on our nervous systems, what seemingly small or insignificant events from your past might actually be contributing to challenges you face today.
Don't be afraid to explore those memories with curiosity and compassion. You might be surprised by what you discover, and you might even uncover hidden strengths and resilience that you never knew you had.
Remember, you are not defined by your past.
You have the power to rewrite your story and create a future filled with hope, healing, and connection.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the unexpected impacts of childhood adversity.
It was a pleasure to be here.
We hope you found this exploration insightful and empowering.
I hope so too.
Until next time, keep diving deep, keep learning, and keep growing.